MRRT and whether perhaps the smaller miners, will they get hard done by? I mean, we've now got a panel. It's certainly Martin Ferguson's on it, the Minister, and Treasury's David Parker, I think that's his name. I hope I haven't got his first name wrong. But essentially, the rest of them are all mining executives. Erica Smythe, who's a uranium miner. I mean, there's also a former Rio executive on it. I mean, these people are going to work it out in favour of the mining industry, aren't they, so they don't get shafted?
Well, the interesting thing to note about the recent uprising by small miners is exactly who are these small miners. That when they changed from the super profits tax to the MRRT, they not only changed the tax rate substantially to 22.5% extra, but what they also did was they reduced the number of minerals covered by the tax. So it used to be everything pretty much that was onshore, and now it's just coal and iron ore. So it became effectively a tax on the Pilbara and the Bowen Basin, which essentially is BHP and Rio paying most of it anyway. So exactly, and it's also, the other thing was there was a limit, you had to make $50 million in profits. So who exactly these small mining companies are that are so angry, I don't know. I looked at the AMEC page and looked through some of these companies, and the vast majority of them are either no longer listed on the ASX, they're making no profits, so they're not covered by the tax anyway.
So it's really Fortescue who doesn't like it.
Yeah, the only person who...
And there's Twiggy as well, and Atlas has been talking about it.
Mount Gibson, and there's Twiggy.
And there's Twiggy.
There's Twiggy. Clive's got coal.
Clive has been barking loudly about it, against it. Yeah.
He's been putting his weight behind it, which,
Rob, what's your view about this?
I agree with Greg and James and yourself, Helen, that the claim itself is very valid, and Mark McGuinness's actions were just abhorrent, especially for a CEO, but for any manager who exerts power over a very junior staff member. But the tragedy is that the $37 million claim has just completely destroyed any credibility that Ms Fraser-Kirk has. It's the highest ever result in a sexual discrimination case in Australia is about 460,000, and that was for a person who was not only discriminated against but also sacked and victimised after she complained. And in any obviously action for damages, you need to look at the loss that was suffered.
All right. Well,
there's no doubt that.
Yeah, sorry, let's just steer away just for the moment, because we've only got a minute left, basically. Just steer away from the amount. I mean, when is the business community, do you think, and certainly this shouldn't cast aspersions on all across the business community, but if such a senior and well-respected CEO can sort of do this without either knowing the law or just willfully disregarding the law, when is the business community going to wake up that this is a serious issue? And even if there's no money that changes hands, this has done enormous reputational damage to DJs. Adam.
So I think, sorry, Helen. I think the problem with this case is it's hard to imagine that the DJ's board had no idea of what McGuinness was like, but it's almost the Wayne
Chairman
Carey
Bob
or
Savage
Shane... did
say that on the day he left, didn't he? Anyway, go on, Adam.
But it's a bit of the Shane Warne or Wayne Carey effect, that McGuinness was such a fantastic CEO and did a magnificent job with David Jones and Officeworks beforehand that I suspect that the board maybe turned a blind eye and just didn't want to be told about what was happening sort of behind the scenes. It's almost unfathomable that people didn't know what it was like there. But because he was such a good performer in terms of an executive financially, I think the board were sort of willing to, as long as possible, turn a blind eye to whatever was happening sort of behind closed doors.
OK, in 30 seconds I want to ask you about the hairdresser Stefan is suing UBS Wealth Management over $3 million in losses in the share market from the GFC. Greg, is this going a long way?
Oh, I very much doubt it. I mean, on the assumption that UBS follow the rules, I am getting pretty sick and tired of these people who have to blame somebody for their losses in a risk market. Stefan's claiming that he didn't appreciate that margin lending meant that his risk was increased. I'd say that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah. All right, Adam, I need a comment.
Greedy.
Yep, I need a comment from Adam.
Caveat emptor.
I think the best part about this whole incident is the headline, bad head A for UBS, and whatever happens from this, it's hard to imagine that unless UBS forgot to give him a disclaimer to sign or contracts to sign, what he'll get from it. But it just shows why I think buying an index fund's often you're better off buying an index fund than using a broker unless you're a very sophisticated investor.
All right, gentlemen, we will have to leave it there. Thank you so much all for joining me. Greg Peel from fnarena.com, James Dagger-Nixon from Sky Business Channel, and in Melbourne, Adam Schwab from Crikey.com. Thank you so much for joining me. And that